Hello everyone, and today we're going to be covering off Adventure Prank Kid Mathmech, which is a bit of a mouthful. It's a deck that was recently posted by Distant Coder, who he himself took it from one of his opponents on stream, and you know what, the deck just looked like an absolute ton of fun, so I thought we would cover it here too. We made as well. So full credit for the design of course goes to Distant Coder, but the general idea is that you're able to utilize any of your prank kids as a one card combo to go into your Mathmech Alimbertion, which essentially allows you to search for Circular, which will get all of your Mathmech plays going. So it means that each one of your prank kids is essentially a copy of the Mathmech Circular, which is pretty nuts. And it's also able to weave in things like the Borrowload Savage Dragon as part of its main combo. It can weave in DPE, it can weave in the Adventure Engine. It's just, honestly, it's pretty crazy how it plays. Again, we're still sort of learning how the deck works. Some of these games and replays you're going to be seeing are from early days testing, so it might not be perfect plays, but the deck has an absolute ton of potential. Really fun playing it. If you have the cards, I would recommend you at least give it a go. But yeah, let's get into the gameplay. If you're new around here, or if you've been watching for a while and simply haven't subscribed for whatever reason, then again, feel free to do so down below if you want to get up to date with all new sort of deck lists and profiles, as well as anything else that we're doing, including live streaming and tournaments. Again, feel free to subscribe to keep yourself up to date with the channel, and if you happen to enjoy seeing this particular video, you can of course like it down below. Let's get into game number one. Alrighty, so in this replay, basically what we're going to be displaying is the full sort of prank kid part of the combo. We get all of this right up until the very end of the combo. There's a big misplay at the very end. But basically what this is going to demonstrate is that any single one of your prank kids is going to get you into the full Mathmech combo. It's going to set you up all the way, and then you're going to have just Gravy on top of that later. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by, well, first summoning Griffin Rider, just because. Then we're going to normal summon Fancies. It doesn't matter what one you summon, any one of them. Go into Meow. Fancies is going to send Roxy's to grave and summon Roxy's from deck. That part is important. You need to have Roxy's. It needs to be the one you summon, because you need to have a copy of it in your graveyard. So we now have the Roxy's in grave. Roxy's is now going to summon Fancies from deck, as well as Doodle Doo will search our deck for Prank Kids pranks. So we're going to add pranks to hand. That's fine. Then we're going to search our deck and we're going to special summon out Fancies. Well, first we're going to banish the Fancies to summon out this. We also draw in the Another Effective Healer, which is a nice little side perk, if you will, of Roxy's. And we need to summon Fancies here at this part of the combo. The reason being, it's a level 1. We're going to be summoning another level 1 token off of our Prank Kids pranks. So we're going to ditch Roxy's from hand, and we're going to summon out a level 1 token. Now Doodle Doo, because we don't have any prank kids left in hand, we need to use Doodle Doo's effect to grab 2 from our graveyard. We need to have a level 4 in our hand for this next part. If we had a level 4 in hand, we wouldn't need to do that, but because we don't, we do. So now that we've got Roxy's in hand, what we're going to do is link 2 off into Bujinki Ashirama. What this does is that it needs to be summoned using 2 monsters with the same level. That's why we needed Fancies and a level 1 token. And then you choose a monster in your hand and one in your graveyard, so long as they have the same level. Summon both and then Exceed Summon. So we summon Roxy's from grave, Roxy's from hand. We Exceed Summon into Mathmech Alimbertion. Alimbertion then of course detaches 2 materials to search your deck for Circular. So off of 1 normal summon, there is your Circular and Alimbertion on the field. This time, instead of dumping Sigma like you normally would, we're dumping Nabla to the graveyard, and Alimbertion is going to tribute your Link monster for the Nabla. Now this Link monster can't be used as Link material or anything else, so it's sort of useless once you've actually summoned it. So we just tribute it off of Alimbertion, summon out Nabla. We add Super Factorial to our hand off of Circular. Nabla tributes Alimbertion to summon out Diameter. There's your Diameter for the follow-up. Here's the part where we mess up. We summon the Borrowload Savage Dragon in the extra monster zone. For some reason, if we summon this anywhere else, we would have been able to link 2 off into Verte Anaconda, and what this essentially would have been is it would have been Borrowload Savage Dragon, Omni Negate, it would have been DPE, pop whenever we want, and it would have been the full Super Factorial as well. But because we messed that up, we obviously don't have the full play, but I'm sure you can use your imagination to fill in the blanks that we messed up. We also get, during the end phase, as a nice little bonus, Prank Kids Pranks allows you to shuffle back 3 Prank Kids cards to draw an extra card. So we drew 2 hand traps through the combo. We drew Nibiru and Veiler, and we have the Omni Negate. We would have had DPE and we would have had the Laplacian, of course, if we had done everything correctly, but small mistakes. You can use your imagination, you can see exactly where it's going. We activate Fateful Adventure. I don't believe our opponent sticks around very much longer after this. I'm pretty sure they scoop it up. So yeah, it's not the greatest visual representation of the end board, but you can see the process, right? The combo is quite linear. Any one of your prank kids will set up the vast majority of that. And when it comes to the Doodle-Doo step, if you already have another level 4 in hand, you can keep Doodle-Doo on the field and instead go into like a Masked Arena play or something to that effect. There's a whole bunch of things you can do, honestly. It's pretty nuts. The main combo I would recommend you learn, though, is the Prank Kids lane combo all the way up. And then everything else just sort of works around that Prank Kid line. But yeah, that's a full display of the combos. And what we're going to do is get into some other gameplays where, you know, maybe things didn't go to plan, maybe we didn't have the perfect opening hand, other ways you can win, things like that. So let's get into game number 2. Already getting into game 2 here. Now the difficulty is we're being forced to go second and we're up against Synchrons out of all things. Normally Synchrons fold quite easily. The reason we ashed, so a lot of people are probably looking at this thinking like, why didn't you save the ash for the speeder? Realistically, if he searches Junk Synchron off of Junk Converter, what he does is he normal summons Synchron, revives Converter, summons out Speeder, right? And then he activates Speeder Chainlink 1 and activates Junk Converter Chainlink 2, chain blocked, right? So what we're going to do is instead we're going to shotgun the Ash, hoping that he doesn't have the Junk Synchron in hand already, and we're just going to take it from there. He's going to resummon the Jet from the graveyard, going into the Stardust Xiaolong to bring out his Celestial Double Star Shaman, reviving his level 2 from the graveyard, leveling itself up into Herald of the Arclight, triggering Converter's effect to summon out his Jet Synchron. That is the most roundabout Junk Speeder I have ever seen in my life, but this man made it work, and I have respect for that. So absolute mad lad here, searching his deck for the Arriving Light. He's going to synchro off into the Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon. Chaos Ruler, of course, checking the top 5 cards of his deck for a light or a dark among them. Very unfortunate hits there with the Ascator. He does get to add a Doppel Warrior to his hand, which is the target he was after, so he is ultimately the winner here. He goes into Baron de Fleur. Fleur Synchron then summoning out the Doppel Warrior from his hand, activating Arriving Light, setting the Converging Wills Dragon on top of the deck. He's going to banish Light and Dark from the graveyard to summon out the Chaos Ruler. Now he's going to Synchro Summon again. Well, sorry, no, it's not Synchro Summon. Upon summoning a Synchro monster, he gets to summon out the Converging Wills Dragon from his hand, Synchro Summoning off into the Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. It's been a while since we've seen this card on the channel. This card is absolutely busted, and look at that art. Beautiful card. Summoning out 2 Doppel tokens to his field. Now Synchro Summoning off into the Garden Rose Maiden, giving him some extra recurrence. Summoning out an Ash Blossom from hand, going into Frame Lord Omega. What an absolute mad lad, pumping his token just in case it makes him vulnerable, and passing turn to us. Now this is, of course, very unfortunate. He gets to return the Chaos Ruler back to his graveyard as well, which I thought was really cool. We're going to activate Fateful Adventure here. This is absolute nonsense, right? See what happens right here. This is absolute nonsense. We pitch Nabla to grave, of course we do. We're going to activate the Griffin Rider. He's going to activate the Frame Lord Omega, right? And Frame Lord Omega is just going to hit the Griffin Rider. He's just going to hit it. He doesn't need to negate it. We were hoping the Griffin Rider would eat one of these negates. No, he's just going to be the best player at the game and snipe it with Omega. Absolutely crazy. We're going to activate the Raid of Aramis here. Of course, that gets negated. There's not a mission that's going to resolve. We still have the Fateful Adventure, which we can use for some sort of limited chain blocking, but it's not looking good for us. We're going to normal summon our Lampsies going into the Cat here, triggering Lampsies Chainlink 1, Fateful Adventure Chainlink 2, chain blocking the Baron de Fleur. But that does leave us vulnerable here going into the next chain. Lampsies then doing 500 damage, summoning out Fansies. We should have summoned the Roxy's there. We did make a small mistake. That should have been Roxy's. Although ultimately it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, because one of these two were getting negated, and either one of them getting negated is pretty bad. So Fansies does pitch Roxy's, summons out Lampsies, but we only summon Lampsies because we know it's GG's. We're going to pass turn back to our opponent here. They're going to grab the Ascator from their graveyard for whatever reason, and we decide, you know what, we're not sticking around just to be punched in the face by this dork. What an absolute crazy deck our opponent was playing, though. that junk speeder play at the beginning was so backwards. I love it. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved it. Very well done to our opponent there, to be fair. That was a real deck we were against. So yeah, let's get into game number 3. Already getting into game number 3. Now, anyone who has played Master Duel, of course, knows that any deck that plays DPE alongside its main combos has a secondary win condition, and that is DPE. So we're gonna try to Ash his Small World here. We are, of course, going to get hit with Call by the Grave because, heaven forbid, one of our hand traps resolve. That does mean that no longer does he have Call by the Grave or Ash for our Max C, though. So that does give us at least a little bit of wiggle room here. We should be able to shut most of his plays down, activating Max C in response to his Mathmech Circular. So we are going to draw a card or two, maybe. I doubt he's going to try and play through this. Again, it's been a little bit since I played this replay. We grab a Veiler off the top of the deck. He is going to summon the Sigma. It looks like our opponent's just going to go full whack here, at least trying to set up their Super Factorial. They're going to Exceed Summon into the Alimbertion, Royal Rare Alimbertion, beautiful looking card, detaching 2 materials. We are going to Veiler the Alimbertion. He does have all the resources he wants, though. Realistically, he was just doing this to try and nab himself a third Mathmech, but we are not going to let that happen. Not today, good sir. We are going to draw now. We draw into Foolish Burial. What a card. We activate Foolish Burial, sending the Enchantress. Enchantress then banishes itself from Graveyard to grab ourselves the Rite of Aramis here, but out comes a Max C from our opponent, and currently Ash Blossom is being negated by Call by the Grave, so we don't waste our Ash Blossom on it. We grab the Rite of Aramis here, then we're simply going to Fusion Destiny. If you're going to draw a card every time you summon, then we're going to summon just once. Bring out the DPE, activate its effect, pop itself, pop the Alimbertion, activate its effect in Grave, and pass turn. So you only get to draw 1 card, and we've got a pretty powerful monster coming back during our standby phase in the form of our Enforcer. So he's going to basically just tri-set and pass. We're going to quickly snipe one of the back row. We hit the Super Factorial, which is of course a really good card, but in this context it's not doing him a lot of favors. He has yet another Maximus C, but now we can finally use our Ash Blossom. It's no longer being restricted by Call by the Grave, meaning no more draws for our opponent here. We're going to get to summon back our DPE from the graveyard. Our opponent knows exactly what's going to happen next. We're going to summon our Lampseas, summon our Mathmechs, and go to town on this guy. So he decides he's going to cut it short there and gives up, basically. And I don't blame him. He knew we had the Rite of Aramis here. He doesn't know we were playing Prank Kids, of course, but, I mean, use your brain. He was probably able to sort of connect 2 and 2. But yeah, absolutely great game. Sort of back and forth there. I mean, that's another one of those games that shows you just how impactful Max C is, right? Because that game was only as long as it was because every single turn had a Max C. All of the turns on which Max C resolved, nothing happened. And the one turn that Max C doesn't resolve because it gets negated is the turn the opponent surrenders. And like, that's, if that doesn't show the impact of that singular card, then I don't know what will. You tell me down below. Let's get into game number 4. Already getting into our 4th and final game. We've got an okay hand here. You know, you like seeing Nib, you like seeing the Ash Blossom. We're going to hit this Desires with the Ash Blossom. Stopping our opponent from drawing 2 cards is of course pretty big, but we know Sword Souls, they always have the Strategist without fail. Every single time it is glued to their hand. They're able to summon out their Sinister Sovereign of all cards. They decide not to go into the Baron de Fleur, but instead their Sinister Sovereign, which, to be fair, is arguably a more impactful singular card, right? So when it comes to playing a single card, 1 Omni Negate is cool. It's not going to get you very far, whereas this is 2 interruptions in 1, meaning that yes, while its flexibility in terms of what it can interrupt is lower than the Baron de Fleur, its overall impact on the game can be considered somewhat higher, purely because it's getting rid of multiple cards, right? And it's also bringing down your opponent's life points quite heavily, which isn't much of a factor. But when you've got Max C, again, Max C on your side, well then maybe you don't need all that much. He's able to banish our token, and you can see right there that completely shut our plays down. We're going to set a monster face down, not playing in the maxi, because we need to summon approximately 4 million times to get anything out of it. But there's the second strategist, Sword. So he's pulling these cards out of his sleeve. They're actually blue tacked to the underside of his table. When it comes here, he's going to pop our Fateful Adventure, summon out Ecclesia Tribute to... I don't even believe we sit around for the combo here. We activate Nibiru. We knew we were going to get negated, and I'm pretty sure we scoop it up. I don't think we stick around very much longer. But yeah, he activates the Taya Banish to summon out a Sword Soul token in his field. He synchros off into the Grandmaster, then he gets to draw an extra card as well off of the Sinister Sovereign. The Grandmaster's going to grab him a search, and Taya's going to mill a card out to his graveyard. So we're going to send a Vishuddha to the grave. Grandmaster's going to add a Blackout to hand, giving him a pop 2, and the Sinister Sovereign's going to draw a card. We go into battle phase here. I guess we actually do let this go through. We've only got 4,400 life. There's 3k to the face, and 29 for game. Showing off the power of the Sinister Sovereign there with Sword Souls, actually, which is pretty cool. It's nice to see somebody else recognizing the value of that card. It's always a pretty big favorite of mine, so I absolutely love that card. Nice to see somebody else is giving them the respect it deserves as well, instead of just blindly going into Baron de Fleur. So absolutely, very well played. I'm sure the gameplay there showed off the complexities of the deck. There are certain shortcomings you need to bear in mind. Maxi, to name one. The combos as well, it does take a little bit of learning, as you can see for the games. Maybe we didn't play optimally, we were still sort of picking things up, but this is the general idea of the deck. Let's get into the actual deck profile. Alrighty, so this deck, as you can tell, even just at a glance, is an absolute mess, right? It's a mess that glues itself together though around a sort of central core, and it works surprisingly well. I'll be perfectly honest, I was surprised by how effective it was. So what we're going to do is we're going to strip away the hand traps and everything. Now, the selection of hand traps, you want to vary it as much as you can so you can best utilize your small world. So we are playing quite a few different ones. We're going to start off with our double effective Veiler. We've got the double Maximum C, the triple Ash Blossom, the double Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. We've got the Nibiru the Primal Being, and the double Called by the Grave. I'm pretty sure that wraps us up. We are playing a 43 card deck. So you can cut that number down if you want, but remember, variety is king when you're playing the small world. So just remember that. Okay, so the deck itself, we're going to cut small world as well from this list, but we know small world searches anything in the deck, right? As long as you have this and any other monster, you can, generally speaking, finagle your way into any monster in your deck. Pretty nuts. So getting into the guts of it then, so this is separated into 4 distinct parts, you want to say? So we've got Prank Kids, we've got Adventure, we've got Mathmech, and you could kind of argue DPE is a part of the deck, but it's 3 cards. It's mainly Adventure, Prank Kids, and Mathmechs. Those are the 3 big sort of dogs within the deck. We're going to start off with the Prank Kids. Prank Kids are really simple. Whenever one is used for the summon of a Prank Kid Link monster, you summon another one from deck. It's that simple. They all do the same thing. The only differentiation between them really is their levels and attributes when considering them for small world targets. But yeah, Fansy's level 1, Lampsy's level 3, Roxy's level 4, all they do is summon another one from deck when they're used as link material for a Prank Kids card. That's it. Roxy's has another, so I mean, they all have like a really small effect attached to them. Roxy's is the only one that's actually useful, where you get to banish a card from your hand and draw an extra card in order to get its additional summon, which is kind of useful. You can draw your way into extra hand traps if you have any bricks in your hand, so that is occasionally useful, but for the most part it's just when used as material, summon another. They have 2 spell cards in the deck. Number 1, this is the most important one, Prank Kids Pranks. This is going to be part of your main combo. You can discard a Prank Kids card to special summon a level 1 Prank Kids token out to your field, which is going to be necessary because you want to combine it with your level 1 Fansies in order to link summon out the Bujinki Ashima, because this requires 2 monsters of the same level. Easiest way to do it is Fansies and Prank Kids Pranks, considering this card can be very easily searched off of your Prank Kids Doodle Doodle Doo. Doo Doo Doodle Doo. So it's searchable, and extends out really well. We have a secondary search target, the Prank Kids Place. Basically on activation, search for a Prank Kids monster. Again, it's useful because any single one of your Prank Kids is full combo because they all do the same thing. So Prank Kids Place is just a secondary search if you happen to open up with pranks, or it just acts as a additional copy of all of your Prank Kids. So yeah, generally speaking, pretty solid card. This has an additional effect here. Prank Kids Pranks has an additional effect where at the end of the turn you can shuffle back 3 Prank Kids cards from your graveyard and draw an extra card. Occasionally you're going to draw a hand trap and you'll be happy. But again, it's just drawing extra cards. So it's hard to complain. Then we're going to talk about Mathmech. We're playing a little bit of a small but varied engine when it comes to Mathmech. We of course have we're going to start off with Circular, right? Because it all stems and works around Circular. Circular, while in hand, you will send a Mathmech monster from your deck to the graveyard to special summon this card, and if another Mathmech is summoned to your field while you control Circular, you get to search your deck for a Mathmech spell or trap card. The spell or trap card we are searching for, of course, is Super Factorial. We'll get to that in a moment. So this guy special summons himself by milling one of your other Mathmechs to grave, and then if you summon another Mathmech, this guy gets to search your deck for an extra card. Absolutely busted. Circular is insane. Single-handedly changed the very shape of the metagame upon release. What targets are we going to be sending from deck to graveyard? Well, first and foremost is going to be Nabla as part of your core combo. So Nabla will be able to tribute a Cyberse monster on your field to special summon any Mathmech monster from your deck. What you're going to be doing is pitching this guy to grave and then reviving him to the field with Alimbertion off of your Prank Kids combo. So this guy's going to be target number 1. Target number 2 is going to be Mathmech Sigma. Mathmech Sigma, if you control no monsters in the extra monster zone, you can special summon this card out to your field from your graveyard or hand, which makes him an excellent extender and an excellent way to trigger off the Circular if you perhaps didn't open up any of your Prank Kids. But considering you play like what is essentially 9 of them, you're almost always going to have a Prank Kid to do that combo. But if you don't have that combo, Circular sending Sigma like you would in any other Mathmech strategy is still just as valid in this deck as well. Then we have Diameter. Of course, Diameter is going to be summoned from your deck using Nabla. Nabla is going to search your deck for Diameter and summon it out. When this card is used as material for a Synchro or Exceed summon for a Mathmech card, that card gains an additional effect, which says you can once per turn negate the activation of a card. But it only gains that effect for the turn on which it is summoned, which is useful because, which we'll get to in a minute, Super Factorial will allow you to Exceed summon during your opponent's turn. Diameter being used as material means that Exceed monster gains an additional Omni Negate for the duration of your opponent's turn, which is exceptionally useful. And lastly, we have Mathmech Multiplication. This is the least important of them. Basically, this is an OTK tool for going second. When it's sent to the graveyard, you can target a Cyberse monster in your extra monster zone, and its attack points are doubled until the end of the turn. It can also, while on the field, target a level 4 Cyberse monster and change its level to 8 for the duration of the turn. It's purely here to enable your Mathmech Final Sigma OTKs whenever you're going second. You basically use this guy as a level 8, changing his own level to level 8, plus one of your level 4 tuners, which is all of these guys. Synchro up in the Mathmech Sigma. This guy's attack points will be doubled by multiplication, making him 6,000. He also deals double battle damage over a monster, so unless their monster has like 3,000 attack points, they're going to fold like a damn omelet. So Sigma and multiplication are here. If you're not a fan of that play and instead you want a hard commit to going first, then you can of course cut multiplication. It is a little bit of a brick here and there, and you don't use it every single game, definitely not, but it is definitely, its utility can't be overruled, right? You can't look at it and think it's garbage, because the power behind that play and the versatility it then lends to your deck and giving you so much more power going second rather than just focusing on going first. It's hard to pass up, right? But you don't have to play this. It's not core. Grand, so that is the Mathmech cards, except for Super Factorial. So Super Factorial, really straightforward. You'll target 3 Mathmechs in your graveyard with different names, so you need to have 3 different Mathmechs in grave. As part of your core combo, you're going to have Circular, Diameter, and Nabla, right? So there's your 3. You're going to target 3 different Mathmechs in grave, you're going to special summon them all to your field, and then you're going to immediately Exceed summon, and you're going to Exceed summon into Laplacian. We're going to talk about why in a moment, but this is your target. Super Factorial basically lets you summon out Laplacian during your opponent's turn. So that's the whole point of that little combo. That's the Mathmech engine. Lastly then, we're going to be talking about the adventure cards. So the adventure cards have 3 starters. You have 2 copies of the Rite of Aramasir. The Rite of Aramasir will summon out to your field an adventure token with 2000 attack and defense, and it will also activate directly from your deck your Fateful Adventure. So you want to be having this token on the field. Basically, this is the card around which the rest of the adventure engine plays. The Water Enchantress of the Temple can banish itself from your hand or graveyard in order to search your deck for the Rite of Aramasir. So it basically searches for this. So you can either do it from hand or grave. You can also pitch it to the graveyard off of Foolish Burial to get you an extra copy, essentially, of Rite of Aramasir. But this card, you want to banish it to search for this, activate Rite of Aramasir, grab yourself a token, and then you grab yourself your Fateful Adventure from deck. Fateful Adventure has then 2 effects. Number 1, if a monster is summoned to the field while it's face up, you can grab an equip spell from your deck that lists an adventure token on it, like your Dracoback the Rideable Dragon. And number 2, you can activate its effect to add to your hand a monster that lists an adventure token in its text, and then discard a card. So you're either going to be adding your Wandering Griffin Rider, which will be 90% of the time, or if you already have this, or maybe if you don't have the Rite of Aramasir, you're going to be searching for the Water Enchantress of the Temple. And then you'll just immediately be discarding this card to activate its effect to get searching. So yeah, generally speaking, what you'll do is you'll activate the Rite of Aramasir, summon out your token, activate your Fateful Adventure from deck. You will then normal summon one of your prank kids, or if you don't have a prank kid, you will special summon your circular, because there is no mission that you're not having either one of those 2 engines, especially considering you play Small World. So what you're going to do is summon out the starter for whatever engine it is you're going out into. That'll trigger Fateful Adventure to search your deck for Dracoback. Then you will activate Fateful Adventure to add the Griffin Rider to your hand, discarding Dracoback, and then you can special summon the Griffin Rider out to your field, which will be an Omni Negate. And the Dracoback, whenever this card is sent to the graveyard, you can equip it from the grave onto a non-effect monster in your field, so you can equip it onto your adventure token. So it acts as a bit of a circle, so it does. The Griffin Rider can be special summoned from your hand while you don't control any monsters, or if you control an adventure token, and so long as you control an adventure token, you can shuffle this guy back into the deck to negate any card your opponent activates. So a bit of a searchable Omni Negate, essentially. That is pretty much the adventure engine broken down. There's not too much to talk about. It is sort of just like a flowy circle that generates off of a normal summon. I should mention that you're not able to activate the effects of normal summoned monsters on the turn you activate the Rite of Aramasir, but that's why we are building the deck way we're building it. We're not actually using any normal summon effects in this entire deck, so that's not a problem. Then of course we have the DPE engine. We have the Destiny Hero Dasher, Destiny Hero Dynatag, and the Fusion Destiny, purely so we can summon out Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. That's pretty much self-explanatory. I don't feel like I need to go into that. And yeah, that is the entire main deck. Getting into the extra deck, we of course have the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, as I just mentioned. Easily fusion summoned out to your field after going into Verte Anaconda, if you have the leftover resources to do so after your combo, which you will, quite a lot actually. Once per turn during either player's turn, quick effect, destroy 1 card on both your field and your opponent's, non-targeting destruction on a quick play effect whenever you want, and if this card gets destroyed, you can activate its effect. During the next standby phase, you get to resurrect any Destiny hero, including himself, which basically means that you'll essentially pop this card and any card your opponent controls, and then continually bring the card back and destroy another one, bring it back, destroy, bring it back, destroy. So you'll continually loot resources. This card by itself, because of that grind game, will win you games, right? Because you'll just pop your opponent's key resources, you'll prevent them from going for lethal, he'll come back, he'll pop again, he'll swing for 25, and he'll just gradually wear the opponent down, even just by himself. And that's before considering the fact that this is he's just an extra that you throw on to your core combo. He's a fallback plan, he's an extra, which is pretty nuts. To have a card this powerful just be an extra is amazing. It shows you how good the rest of the deck is. Getting into other really good cards, we're playing the Borreload Savage Dragon. Not everyone's going to be used to seeing a card like this in a Mathmech strategy, but basically it's a level 8 synchro monster you're going to be bringing out as part of your main combo. It will equip onto itself a link monster from your graveyard and gain half of that monster's attack points, as well as Borrel counters equal to the link rating of the equipped monster. So if you equip a link 2 monster, it gains 2 counters. What it can do with those counters is once per turn, if your opponent activates a card or effect, you can remove one of its counters to negate that activation. It doesn't destroy, but it does negate. So it's an Omni Negate once per turn, and basically you can use it until you run out of counters. So the more counters you have, the better. If you only have one counter, you've only got one negate. If you use two counters, you get two negates, so on and so forth. So the Borreload Savage Dragon, really powerful Omni Negate monster, very good to have, especially going first when it's so easily accessible off of diameter plus any of your level 4s. There you go, there's your tuner, there's your non-tuner, bang, Borreload Savage Dragon. Then we got the Mathmech Final Sigma. You're not going to use this card too much, but it is a fantastic way of winning a game going second, or in a simplified game state where your regular combos simply did not work out. Basically, he's a level 12 monster. So long as he is face up in your extra monster zone, he is unaffected by any card effect that is not a Mathmech card, making him extremely difficult for your opponent to get rid of. If he battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage that would be inflicted as part of that battle is doubled, which means if you pair him with something like Multiplication, Multiplication will boost him up to 6,000 attack points. If he's dealing double damage over a monster, he is dealing some serious heat. If he attacks anything with 2,000 or less attack points, you will instantly win the game, which is crazy because that will be 8,000 damage. So Sigma is a phenomenal tool for going second, absolutely. I wouldn't say mandatory. If you don't want to play him, I would also cut Multiplication. It's sort of like a package deal. But if you want that ability to win the game going second, if you want that versatility, you want that power, you want the style points, you're absolutely running the Final Sigma. Absolutely. Now we're getting into Laplation. Laplation's going to be summoned during your opponent's turn utilizing your Mathmech Super Factorial. What this card does is that when it's summoned, you can detach up to 3 materials to resolve the following effects in order, in the order of which they can be resolved. So for 1 material, you'll send a random card in your opponent's hand to the graveyard. For 2 materials, you're going to send a monster on their field to the graveyard. For 3 materials, you're also going to send a spell or a trap card your opponent controls to the graveyard. So if you detach all 3, if they have all of these 3 cards in play, you will then send 3 of their cards directly to the grave without targeting. So this is absolutely bonkers, especially when you consider some of the additional implications. Number 1, diameter is going to be one of the materials used for its summon. And that means that for the duration of this card's, for the duration of the turn on which this card is summoned, which will be your opponent's turn, it can also negate the effect of one of your opponent's cards, which is, of course, amazing. It means you're essentially going to have another Omni Negate on top of your Savage Dragon, as well as your Griffin Rider, potentially your DPE as well. So you're going to have a ton of interruptions, and that's after getting rid of 3 of their cards, which is just crazy. We've got Alimbertion, which is going to be used during your Prank Kids combo to search your deck for your Mathmech Circular. This guy will be summoned as part of that combo. Grab Circular from deck, gets the whole thing going basically. Definitely a mandatory combo piece. Lingeribo is exactly what it looks like. It's a way to put one of your Mathmechs in grave should you need a third one in grave, right? So if you're, for example, in a position where your field is Circular, Diameter, and Abla, you have nothing else, no other extenders, no nothing, well, you can synchro using these 2 into Borreload Savage Dragon, and then you can link your remaining monster off into Lingeribo, which means you have now 3 different Mathmechs in grave, meaning your Super Factorial is now live. And that is the most important thing, making sure this card is live. To make sure it's live, you need 3 different Mathmechs in grave. So yeah, Lingeribo is here, just in case you've got a leftover Mathmech, you really need to put it in the graveyard for your Factorial. This guy's got you. Then we've got our Prank Kid cards here. We've got the Meow Meow Moo, which is purely here as a Link 1. Its effect doesn't actually matter in this deck. You just use this as a Link 1 with your Prank Kids to get your whole combo going. So you normal summon 1, link it off into this, and then you can activate the effects of the Prank Kid monster that you use as material to summon another Prank Kid from deck. And then what you would do is link up again into Prank Kids Doodle-Doodle-Doo. And this is the one that actually matters, because when it's summoned, you will add a Prank Kid spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. You're going to grab yourself your Prank Kids Pranks, which is very important for your combo. He can also tribute himself to add 2 of your different Prank Kids from your graveyard back to your hand, which does on occasion matter, because in order to resolve the full combo, you're going to need a level 4 monster in your hand as well as one in your graveyard, which is probably going to be your Prank Kids Roxy's. So you're gonna almost certainly want to have this guy. If you don't already have a level 4 in hand of any description, you can usually utilize this effect to add a Roxy's to your hand, which means you'll almost certainly have one then at that stage. So this card, definitely mandatory. We play it at 2. We play it at 2 on the off chance it gets hit with the effect of something like Imperm or Vealer or something like that, so you can utilize its second effect still, simply by summoning out another monster. You simply just link off into a second one of these and utilize the new monster's effect in the tribute one. But you don't have to play 2, you can get away with playing 1 if you really want to play something else, like maybe Heat Soul or whatever, but I think 2 is fine. 2 has been working out. We haven't needed the second one very often, but it does come up here and there. Update Jammer, of course we're playing Update Jammer in a Link deck. Just being able to swing in and go for lethal is absolutely crazy sometimes. Basically giving any monster that uses this guy's material can attack twice. Or any Cyberse monster specifically, sorry. So if you go in the access code using Update Jammer's material, then you can attack twice. Pretty nuts. Bujinki Ashima. This is part of your core combo. Whenever it's summoned, you will target a monster in your graveyard, summon it as well as a monster with the same level from your hand, and you're going to immediately then exceed summon using only those 2 monsters. So this is going to be the core sort of way of getting your Prank Kids into your Alimbertion. You're going to target the Prank Kid Roxy's in your graveyard that you center for your effect, as well as any other level 4 in your hand. It could be another Roxy's that you added back off of this card's effect, and then you're going to summon both and exceed summon in the Alimbertion. Alimbertion searches Circular, Circular wins the game. So this card is definitely pretty cool. It's interesting to see new tech and new things like that being played around with when it comes to Mathmech strategies. Absolutely love to see it. Verte Anaconda, strictly here to use its effect to summon Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Link any 2 effect monsters into him. This guy will send Fusion Destiny, Dasher, and Dynatag to graveyard to summon out the Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, meaning you can turn any 2 effect monsters into a huge boss. Splash Mage, summoned using 2 Cyberse monsters. You can basically target a Cyberse engrave and resummon it. This is going to be most useful for basically generating more material to make sure you can summon out an Update Jammer when you're going second. Update Jammer plus Splash Mage will then summon out Access Code Talker, which is our next monster. Access Code Talker will boost itself up by the link rating of any one of its materials used for its summon, multiplied by 1,000. So normally it's going to be 4,300 attack points in this deck. It will then its effects cannot be responded to, by the way. You can banish a link monster from your graveyard to destroy a card in your opponent's field without targeting, and your opponent also can't respond to the activation of this card's effects. Now the only stipulation is that you can only banish each attribute of link monster once. So if you've already banished a water monster, you can't banish another water monster. If you already banished a wind monster, you can't banish another wind. Like that. But you can basically just summon it out, it's huge, pops a bunch of cards, and Update Jammer will allow it to attack twice. So usually access code means you're going for game. And lastly is Apollousa, which is a flex spot, honestly. You're not often going to use Apollousa, but in a deck that special summons out as many monsters as this one, it's always nice to have a fallback option when it comes to just putting up a bunch of generic negates. So you don't have to play Apollousa. If you don't have it, take it out, put something else in. But Apollousa, I think, is a fine addition indeed. So you can do with that information as you will. And yeah, that pretty much closes out the entire deck. Let me bring up the exact beginning list, because you're going to want to see the small world bridges. And it's easier than me just putting the whole deck back together if I just do it this way. So these are the hand traps we're playing, and remember this, because small world alongside this sort of lineup of hand traps means that you can basically turn any card in your deck into any other card in your deck. So that's pretty incredible. It means if you don't have one of the right monsters, you can turn one of your hand traps into a Prank Kid, you can turn a Prank Kid into the Enchantress, you can turn one of your hand traps into Circular. It's crazy. You can basically just customize your hand. So small world is nuts. It takes a wee bit of practice. Not everyone in the community seems to be 100% on how small world works, but with a little bit of practice and paying attention, you'll get it. It's not that hard. And yeah, that's pretty much the entire deck. I hope you enjoyed. If you're still watching to this point and you haven't subscribed, then why not? I would ask you do so, as well as liking the video. Obviously, if you've got this far, you might as well. Obviously, you've enjoyed what you're watching, and I've enjoyed having you, so I would like to see you around next time as well. And with that, we're going to be signing off. See you in the next one.